Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, make sure you drop your thoughts and the lessons you took from this story in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's get into it. You have disgusted me since day one, her husband said. On their anniversary, she just smiled. The words hung in the air like poison gas, filling every corner of the Chicago restaurant that had once been their special place. Tiffany Brooks sat perfectly still, her deep brown skin glowing under the soft candlelight, her hands folded neatly on the white tablecloth. The smile never left her lips, even as her world crumbled around her like a house of cards in a hurricane. 10 years. 10 years of marriage, of shared dreams, of building a life together, and Lionel was telling her that every single day had been a lie. "Did you hear me, Tiffany?" Lionel's voice cut through her thoughts. His eyes were flat and cold, colder than she had ever seen them. "I said you have disgusted me since day one. Since the moment I said, I do. I have regretted it." He did not whisper. He did not lower his voice. He spoke like a man rehearsing lines he had practiced in the mirror, sharp and deliberate. The other diners continued their conversations, unaware that a woman's heart was being torn apart just 3 tables away. Soft jazz music kept playing. The candles kept flickering. Life went on even as Tiffany stopped. "I heard you," Tiffany said quietly, her voice steady despite the earthquake happening inside her chest. "I am just wondering why you chose today to tell me this." She took a slow breath, feeling the weight of every pair of eyes that might or might not be watching them. It was their 10th anniversary. He had insisted on coming back to this restaurant. She had thought it was nostalgia. Now she understood it was staging. Lionel laughed, but there was no humor in it, only bitterness and impatience. "Because I cannot pretend anymore. Because Felicia and I are tired of sneaking around. Because you deserve to know the truth." He said the name carelessly, as if it meant nothing, when for Tiffany it was a detonator. Felicia Grant, her best friend since college, the woman who had been her maid of honor, the woman who had held her hand through her mother's funeral, the woman who had been coming to their house for dinner every Sunday for the past 10 years. "How long?" Tiffany asked. Part of her already knew the answer would destroy her, but she needed to hear it. She wanted to look back later and know she had not imagined any of this. 2 years, Lionel said, not even having the decency to look ashamed. 2 years of actually being happy. 2 years of being with someone who does not bore me to tears. He leaned back in his chair like a man dropping a burden. 2 years of feeling alive. Tiffany's smile grew wider, and for a moment Lionel looked confused. His eyebrows drew together. He had expected tears, screaming, maybe a scene. He had expected her to fall apart right there in front of everyone. Instead, she looked almost pleased, as if she had been waiting for him to catch up. 2 years, Tiffany repeated, nodding slowly. "And you have been planning this conversation for how long, Lionel?" "Does it matter?" he snapped. "The point is, it is over. We are getting divorced. Felicia and I are going to be together, and you can go back to whatever sad little life you had before you trapped me into marriage." Trapped him, as if she had forced him to propose, as if she had held a gun to his head at the altar, as if loving him completely and building a home with him had been some kind of prison sentence. "I trapped you?" Tiffany asked, her voice still calm, still steady. "By loving you, by supporting your career, by taking care of your father when he was sick, by being faithful to you for 10 years? By being boring," Lionel shot back. "By being predictable. By being everything that Felicia is not. She is exciting. She is fun. She makes me feel alive in ways you never could." The waiter approached their table, probably to ask if they wanted dessert, but something in Tiffany's expression made him freeze. He looked at her, then at Lionel, then quietly turned around and walked away. "Smart man," Tiffany murmured under her breath. She reached for her wine glass then, finally, and her hand was perfectly steady. "I see," she said. "And what makes you think I will just let you go? Let you both go on with your lives like nothing happened?" Lionel's confidence faltered for just a second. "What do you mean?" he asked. Some of the arrogance slipped out of his voice, replaced by wary curiosity. "I mean," Tiffany said, taking a sip of her wine, "that you seem to think this is going to be easy. That you can just walk away from 10 years of marriage, from vows, from a life we built together, and face no consequences." "There is nothing you can do about it," Lionel said. But the edge in his voice had dulled. "We are getting divorced either way. You can make it easy or hard, but the result will be the same." Tiffany set down her wine glass and leaned forward slightly. Her brown eyes met his, And for the first time that evening, Lionel saw something in them that made him uncomfortable. Something that looked almost like anticipation. "You know what the funny thing is, Lionel?" she said softly. "I have actually been expecting this conversation for months." His face went pale. "What? Oh, you did not think I knew," Tiffany said. Her smile became almost pitying. "About the late nights at work. About your sudden interest in going to the gym. About the new cologne. About the way you started guarding your phone like it contained nuclear codes. You knew." Lionel's voice cracked. "I have known for 6 months," Tiffany said, and watched as the color drained completely from his face. "I have been watching you, both of you, waiting to see how far you would take it. If you knew, why did you not say anything?" Lionel demanded. His voice had lost its rehearsed smoothness. Now it was raw and confused. "Because I wanted to see what kind of man I married," Tiffany replied. "I wanted to see if you would have the decency to come clean, or if you would just keep lying to my face every single day." "And now you know," Lionel said, trying to regain his composure. He straightened his shoulders and lifted his chin. "Now you know I am done. Our marriage was already over. We have been like roommates for years." "No," Tiffany said firmly. "You checked out of our marriage years ago. I kept trying. I kept hoping. I kept believing that we could work through whatever was wrong. But you had already decided I was not worth the effort." He shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "Look, this does not have to be ugly. We can split everything 50-50 and go our separate ways. You can keep the house. I will take the condo. We both move on." Tiffany's laugh was soft, musical, and absolutely terrifying. "Oh, Lionel. Sweet, foolish Lionel. You really think it is going to be that simple?" "What do you mean?" he asked again. He kept asking that, as if the problem were her clarity and not his actions. "I mean," Tiffany said, standing up and placing her napkin on the table, "that you have no idea what you have just unleashed. You think you can humiliate me, disrespect me, betray me, and then dictate the terms of how this ends." She leaned down close to his ear, her voice barely above a whisper. "You are about to learn something very important about the woman you have been underestimating for 10 years. Are you threatening me?" Lionel grabbed her wrist as she started to walk away. The grip was not brutal, but it was desperate. Tiffany looked down at his hand on her arm, then back at his face. Her smile was serene, almost angelic. "I do not make threats, Lionel. I make promises. And I promise you this. You are going to regret this conversation for the rest of your life." She gently pulled her arm free and walked toward the exit, her head held high, her back straight. Every step was measured, controlled, elegant. She looked like a queen leaving court after sentencing a traitor. Lionel sat frozen at the table, watching her go. Other diners glanced at him curiously, probably wondering why he looked like he had seen a ghost. The waiter finally approached cautiously. "Sir, is everything all right? Would you like the check?" Lionel nodded numbly, his mind racing. Something had just happened, something he did not fully understand. He had expected Tiffany to crumble. Instead, she had walked away like a woman who already had a plan. For the first time since he had started planning this little performance, Lionel felt a chill of fear run down his spine. Outside the restaurant, Tiffany sat in her car for a moment, allowing herself to feel the full weight of what had just happened. 10 years of her life gone. Her marriage over, her best friend revealed as a traitor. She waited for the crushing despair she had been certain would come. Instead, she felt something else. Something that started as a small spark in her chest and grew into a warm, steady flame. Relief. And something else. Something that felt surprisingly like excitement. She pulled out her phone and scrolled through her contacts until she found the number she was looking for. The call was answered on the second ring. "Hello, this is Richard King's office." "Hello," Tiffany said. Her voice came out calm, almost casual. "My name is Tiffany Brooks. I think it is time we had that conversation you mentioned." "Of course, Ms. Brooks," the assistant said. "Mr. King has an opening tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Would that work for you?" "That would be perfect," Tiffany replied. Her hand only trembled after she hung up. The next morning, Tiffany woke up in what used to be their bedroom, but now felt like a museum exhibit of a dead marriage. Lionel's side of the bed was empty and unmade. He had come home sometime after midnight, grabbed some clothes, and left again without saying a word. Probably went straight to Felicia's apartment. Tiffany lay there for a long moment, staring at the ceiling, waiting for tears to come. They did not. Instead, she felt that same strange sense of clarity, like someone had just taken off a blindfold she had not realized she was wearing. She got up and made coffee, going through the motions of her normal morning routine, but nothing felt normal anymore. Every photo on the mantel looked like a lie. Every shared memory felt tainted. The mug Lionel had bought her for their 3rd anniversary, the one that said "World's Best Wife," sat in the cabinet like a cruel joke. Her phone buzzed. A text from Felicia. "Hey girl, want to grab lunch today? I have so much to tell you." Tiffany stared at the message for a full minute. The casual tone. The exclamation point. The fake enthusiasm. She typed back, "Sorry, busy day. Maybe another time." The response came immediately. "Ah, bummer. Rain check then. Love you. Love you." The words made Tiffany's stomach turn. She set the phone aside and walked to her home office, a small room Lionel had always complained was unnecessary. "Why do you need an office?" he used to say. "You work from home sometimes. Just use the kitchen table." She had insisted, and now she was grateful for this private, protected space. She opened her laptop and pulled up the folder she had created 6 months ago, the folder labeled Research. Inside were screenshots, photos, documents, and detailed notes. Everything she had been quietly collecting since the day she had first suspected Lionel was cheating. The evidence was overwhelming. Credit card statements showing expensive dinners at restaurants she had never visited. Hotel charges on days when Lionel claimed to be working late. Receipts for jewelry she had never received. Text messages she had managed to see when Lionel left his phone unattended for a moment too long. But the most damning evidence was the photos. Photos she had taken from her car parked across the street from Felicia's apartment building. Photos of Lionel's car in Felicia's assigned spot. Photos of them kissing goodbye in the morning. Photos of them holding hands as they walked into restaurants in neighborhoods far from where anyone might recognize them. She had been building a case without even knowing it, documenting the affair like a private investigator who also happened to be the wife. Part of her had hoped she was wrong, that there was some innocent explanation. A bigger part had known the truth and had been preparing for this moment. Her phone rang. It was her older sister, Yolanda, calling from Houston. "You sound weird," Yolanda said as soon as Tiffany picked up. "What is wrong?" Tiffany hesitated. She and Yolanda usually talked once a week, usually on Sundays. This was Thursday morning. "Lionel and I are getting divorced," Tiffany said, and was surprised by how matter-of-fact she sounded. "What?" Yolanda almost shouted. "Oh my goodness. What happened? Are you okay? Do you need me to come to Chicago?" "I am fine," Tiffany said, and realized she meant it. "He has been having an affair with Felicia." The silence on the other end of the line stretched so long that Tiffany checked to make sure the call had not dropped. "Felicia?" Yolanda said finally. "You're Felicia? Best friend since college, Felicia. That is the one. That backstabbing two-faced." Yolanda's voice dissolved into language that would have made their pastor raise an eyebrow. "How long?" 2 years, apparently. "And you just found out?" "No," Tiffany answered quietly. "I have known for 6 months." Another long silence. "You have known for 6 months, and you did not tell me?" Yolanda sounded hurt, not angry. "I kept hoping I was wrong," Tiffany admitted. "Or that Lionel would come to his senses. Or that Felicia would grow a conscience." She let out a humorless laugh. "I was an idiot." "You were not an idiot," Yolanda said fiercely. "You were loyal. You were hopeful. You were everything a wife and a friend should be. They are the fools. They are the ones who threw away something precious." "He told me I disgusted him," Tiffany said, and for the first time since the restaurant, her voice wavered. "He said I have disgusted him since day one." "That is not true and you know it," Yolanda said. "He is trying to make himself feel better about what he has done. Cheaters always try to blame their partners. It is easier than taking responsibility." "Maybe he is right, though," Tiffany whispered. "Maybe I did get boring. Maybe I stopped trying." "Stop that right now," Yolanda commanded. "I have seen you two together. I have seen how you looked at him, how you took care of him. You were a good wife, Tiffany. If he could not appreciate that, that is his problem, not yours." Tiffany blinked back tears. She did not have time for tears. "I need to ask you something," she said. "And I need you to be honest with me." "Always," Yolanda replied. "Did you ever suspect anything? When you visited, when you saw us together, did anything seem off?" Yolanda sighed. "I wondered sometimes. The last few visits, Lionel seemed different. Distracted. There were a couple of times when his phone rang, and he left the room to answer it. But I never would have guessed this." "What about Felicia?" Tiffany asked. "Did you ever notice anything when she was around?" "Now that you mention it," Yolanda said slowly, "last Christmas, when we were all together, She kept asking personal questions about your marriage. I thought she was just being a concerned friend, but looking back, some of those questions were pretty inappropriate. Like what? Tiffany pressed. Like asking if you and Lionel were still intimate, Yolanda said. If you were happy. If you ever thought about what you would do if Lionel was not in the picture anymore. At the time, I figured she was being nosy. Now it sounds like she was fishing for information. I should have said something, Yolanda added softly. I should have asked more questions. It is not your fault, Tiffany said. None of us wanted to believe people we trusted could do something like this. They talked for almost an hour, with Yolanda offering again and again to fly in, but Tiffany declined. I need to handle this myself, she said. In my own way. I am okay, yo. I really am. After hanging up, Tiffany sat in her office surrounded by evidence of her husband's betrayal and made a decision. She was not going to be the victim in this story. She was not going to be the poor abandoned wife everyone pitied. She was going to be something else entirely. She picked up her phone and called Richard King's office again to confirm the appointment. Then she opened a new document and titled it The Plan. She began listing everything she knew, everything she could prove, and everything she intended to do. By the time she finished, 3 hours had passed and she had filled 8 pages with detailed notes, timelines, and strategies. Richard King's office in downtown Chicago looked exactly like what Tiffany had imagined from one of the city's most ruthless divorce attorneys. Dark wood paneling, leather chairs, and walls lined with law books and framed verdicts. The man himself was in his 50s, gray at the temples, with sharp, assessing eyes and a calm, measured voice. Ms. Brooks, he said, gesturing for her to sit across from his massive desk. I understand you are interested in divorcing your husband. I am, Tiffany said, placing a thick folder on his desk. And I want to make sure he gets exactly what he deserves. King raised an eyebrow and opened the folder. His expression remained neutral as he flipped through photos, documents, and the detailed timeline Tiffany had prepared. But she saw his eyes sharpen as he read. This is very thorough, he said finally. How long did it take you to compile this? 6 months, Tiffany replied. I am a research analyst by profession. When I suspect something, I investigate it properly. And your husband has no idea you have all this? King asked. None, Tiffany said. As far as he knows, I just found out about the affair last night at dinner. King leaned back in his chair, studying her. What exactly are you hoping to achieve, Ms. Brooks? I want everything, Tiffany said simply. The house, the investments, his pension, everything we built together. And I want to make sure his affair costs him more than just his marriage. Adultery does not carry the same weight in divorce proceedings as it once did, King warned. Courts look at equitable distribution, not punishment. I understand that, Tiffany said. But I am not just talking about the divorce. She reached into her purse and pulled out another folder, even thicker than the first. King's eyebrows rose. What is this? My husband works for Meridian Financial, Tiffany explained. He is a senior account manager with access to significant client funds. About 3 months ago, I started noticing some irregularities in our personal finances. King opened the second folder, and his eyebrows shot even higher. These are bank statements from his personal account, he said. Yes, Tiffany replied. Notice the deposits that do not correspond to his salary or bonuses. Notice the dates. They all line up with major client transactions at his company. King studied the documents more carefully. Are you suggesting your husband has been embezzling? I am not suggesting anything, Tiffany said. I am showing you evidence and letting you draw your own conclusions. How did you obtain these records? We have joint accounts, Tiffany said calmly. I am also listed as an authorized user on several of his credit cards. Everything I have shown you is legally accessible to me as his wife. King was quiet for several minutes, going through the financial documents with the focused attention of someone who understood their implications all too well. If these irregularities are what they appear to be, he said finally, your husband could be facing criminal charges. That is not my concern, Tiffany replied. My concern is protecting myself and ensuring I get what I deserve from our marriage. Ms. Brooks, I have to ask, King said. What is your endgame here? Are you looking for revenge or resolution? I am looking for justice, Tiffany answered. My husband betrayed me in the most intimate way possible. My best friend participated in that betrayal. They made me look like a fool for 2 years. They do not get to walk away from the wreckage of my life and start fresh while I am left to sweep up the pieces. King smiled for the first time since she had entered. I think we are going to work very well together, Ms. Brooks. They spent the next 2 hours going over strategy. King explained the divorce process, the likely timeline, and what Tiffany could realistically expect. More importantly, he explained how to protect her from any potential fallout from Lionel's financial irregularities. The key is timing, King said. We need to file for divorce and secure your share of the marital assets before anyone else discovers what your husband has been doing. If his company finds out first, things get complicated. How long do we have? Tiffany asked. Hard to say, King answered. It could be weeks, could be months. But I would not wait long. What about Felicia? Tiffany asked. Is there anything we can do legally to hold her accountable? Adultery is not a crime, King said. And this state does not allow alienation of affection lawsuits. Legally, she walks away clean. So she gets away with it completely, Tiffany said. Legally, yes, King replied. But the law is not the only source of consequences. That evening, Tiffany came home to find Lionel's car in the driveway. She took a breath, smoothing her expression into something appropriately wounded and dazed. She found him in the kitchen, making a sandwich like it was any other Tuesday. He looked up when she entered, his expression guarded. Where were you? He asked. Shopping, Tiffany lied smoothly. I needed some air. We need to talk, Lionel said. His voice was tight. I am not ready to talk, Tiffany replied, which was actually true. I am still processing everything you told me. Lionel looked relieved. Okay, I understand. Take your time. He hesitated. Are you staying here tonight? For now, Tiffany said. Are you? I thought I would sleep in the guest room, he said. At least until we figure things out. Fine, Tiffany replied. They moved around each other carefully the rest of the evening, like strangers sharing a space. Lionel spent most of his time on his phone, probably texting Felicia. Tiffany spent her time researching embezzlement law and asset protection strategies, making notes in the margins of a legal pad until her hand cramped. At one point, Lionel's phone rang, and he stepped outside to take the call. Tiffany watched him through the window, noting his body language. He seemed agitated, running his hand through his hair and pacing the patio. When he came back inside, his jaw was clenched so tightly a muscle jumped near his ear. Everything okay? Tiffany asked, playing the concerned wife one last time. Just work stuff, Lionel said quickly. Nothing important. But Tiffany could see the worry in his eyes. Something was making him nervous, and she had a good idea what it might be. That night, lying alone in their bed, Tiffany thought about timing. King was right. If Lionel's company discovered the embezzlement before she moved, their accounts might be frozen, leaving her stuck in a financial disaster of his making. If she moved too fast, though, she risked tipping Lionel off and giving him a chance to hide assets or destroy evidence. She stared at the ceiling until nearly dawn, listening to the faint sounds of Lionel moving in the guest room, and decided she needed more information before she made her next move. She did not have to wait long. 2 days later, Tiffany was in the hallway outside Lionel's home office when she heard his voice, low and tense. The door was cracked. She stood very still. No, that audit was supposed to happen next quarter, Lionel said. Why are they moving it up? Tiffany's pulse quickened. How thorough are they being? Lionel continued. Just the major accounts, or are they looking at everything? No, I can have those reconciliations ready by Friday. There will not be any problems. Everything will balance. There was a long pause. Because I am very good at my job, that is why, Lionel snapped. I have been managing these accounts for 5 years without a single discrepancy. He hung up, paused, then dialed again. Felicia, it is me, Tiffany heard him say. We need to talk tonight. Yes, it is important. Tiffany slipped quietly down the hall, her heart pounding, but not from fear. From certainty. The window was closing. It was time to move. After Lionel left for Felicia's apartment that evening, Tiffany called King. Meridian is doing an audit, she said. Lionel is panicking. He said he has until Friday to get his reconciliations together. That speeds up our timeline, King said. We should file the divorce petition tomorrow. I will have the papers ready. What about the embezzlement? Tiffany asked. If they find out before the divorce is final, we will prepare a statement for you, King said. If they contact you, you give them that and nothing more. We will make it clear you discovered the irregularities and have been trying to protect yourself. The next morning, Tiffany signed the divorce papers in King's office, her signature crisp and unshaking. He will be served this afternoon at work, King said. It sends a message. That afternoon, Lionel called her, furious. "What is this?" he shouted as soon as she answered. "Divorce papers? Are you out of your mind?" "You told me you wanted a divorce," Tiffany said calmly. "I am giving you what you want." "I did not say I wanted to be ambushed with legal papers at my office," Lionel raged. "Do you have any idea what kind of position this puts me in?" "What position is that?" Tiffany asked. "I am in the middle of a major audit, Tiffany. The last thing I need is personal drama showing up at my job. This could ruin everything." "I am sorry about the timing," Tiffany said, not sorry at all. "But you are the one who wanted to end our marriage." "We could have handled this privately," Lionel insisted. "We did not need lawyers and court filings and all this legal nonsense." "Given some of the things I have discovered about our finances," Tiffany said. "Yes, Lionel, we did need lawyers." The line went quiet. "What things?" Lionel asked, suddenly very still. "I think we should have that conversation through our attorneys," Tiffany said. "I would not want to say anything that might affect your audit." "Tiffany, what are you talking about? What have you discovered?" "Goodbye, Lionel," she said and hung up. Her hand trembled a little as she set the phone down, but it was not fear. It was adrenaline. She immediately called King to update him, then sat back and drew a long, steadying breath. The first phase was over. The next had already begun. The following morning, an unknown number called. "Ms. Brooks, this is Detective Carla Hughes with the Financial Crimes Unit. We need to speak with you regarding your husband." "Of course," Tiffany said. "When would be convenient?" "Today, if possible," Hughes replied. "This is a time-sensitive investigation." They set a time for that afternoon. Tiffany called King, and he agreed to accompany her. "This is actually good," King said. "It means Meridian found the irregularities in the audit and brought in law enforcement. The fact that they are moving this fast means the amounts are significant." The interview took place in a small, sterile room in a downtown police building. Detective Hughes was joined by a federal agent, Leonard Price, whose badge said he worked with financial investigations. "Ms. Brooks," Hughes began, "your husband, Lionel Brooks, is under investigation for embezzlement from Meridian Financial. We understand you recently filed for divorce. Can you tell us what prompted that decision?" Tiffany took a breath and told them about the restaurant, about Lionel's words, about Felicia. Her story was clean, simple, and painfully true. "When did you first notice any financial irregularities?" Agent Price asked. "About 3 months ago," Tiffany said. "I was reviewing our joint bank statements and noticed deposits that did not match Lionel's salary schedule. I thought there might have been a bonus he had not mentioned. When the pattern continued, I became concerned." "What did you do with that information?" Hughes asked. "I started keeping records," Tiffany said. "I accessed our joint accounts, the credit cards where I am an authorized user, our household files. I documented everything I could reach legally." "Did you confront your husband?" Price asked. "No," Tiffany said. "Our marriage was already strained, though I did not know why at the time. I was afraid he would accuse me of being paranoid or controlling. Once I discovered the affair, I contacted an attorney to protect myself." King slid a folder across the table. "My client has prepared a detailed timeline of what she discovered and when," he said. "It is supported by bank statements and other records." Hughes and Price spent several minutes reviewing the documents. Tiffany watched their faces carefully, searching for any sign of suspicion or doubt. "These records are very detailed," Price said eventually. "You have essentially mapped out your husband's alleged embezzlement scheme." "I am a research analyst," Tiffany replied. "When something does not make sense, I dig until it does." "Have you shared this information with anyone else?" Hughes asked. "Only with my attorney," Tiffany said, "in preparation for the divorce." "What about your friend, Felicia Grant?" Hughes asked. "We understand she is involved with your husband. Does she know anything about his finances?" "I have not spoken to Felicia since I learned about the affair," Tiffany said. "I assume Lionel presented himself as successful and financially stable. That is his favorite story." "Ms. Brooks," Hughes said, "would you be willing to cooperate with our investigation?" "What would that involve?" Tiffany asked. "We may need additional records," Price said. "We might ask you to testify about what you discovered and when. We will also ask you not to discuss the investigation with anyone who might warn your husband." "Of course," Tiffany said. "I want the truth to come out. Even if that means your husband could face significant prison time?" Hughes asked. "Especially if it means that," Tiffany replied calmly. "What he did was wrong. There should be consequences." 3 days later, Tiffany ran into someone at the end of a grocery store aisle. Coffee splashed everywhere, their carts collided, and they both started apologizing at once. "I am so sorry," the man said, crouching to help her gather scattered items. "I was not watching where I was going." "It is okay," Tiffany said, then looked up and froze. "Tyler." Tyler Henderson straightened slowly, recognition dawning on his face. "Tiffany," he said. "Wow. Long time. What are the odds?" Tyler had been Felicia's fiancé until 8 months earlier. Their engagement had ended suddenly, with Felicia claiming they had grown apart. Tiffany had tried to be supportive, listening to Felicia talk about how Tyler was too serious, not spontaneous enough, always worrying about the future. Looking at him now, Tiffany felt a stab of guilt. Tyler was handsome in a quiet, grounded way, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. He had always been polite to her at the parties and dinners they had shared, and he had seemed devoted to Felicia. "How are you doing?" Tiffany asked. She truly wanted to know. "I am better now," Tyler said, though his smile dimmed slightly. "How about you? How is married life?" The question hit her like a punch to the stomach. She must have made a face because Tyler instantly looked concerned. "Are you okay?" he asked. Tiffany looked around at the normal people doing normal shopping for their normal lives, and suddenly the weight of her secret felt suffocating. "Actually," she said slowly, surprising herself, "would you like to get coffee sometime? Real coffee. Not this kind on the floor." Tyler studied her face carefully. "Is everything all right, Tiffany?" he asked. "No," she said honestly. "Everything is definitely not all right." They agreed to meet at a coffee shop on the south side the next afternoon. Tiffany spent the morning second-guessing herself. Tyler was Felicia's ex-fiancé. Getting involved with him, even just as a friend, could complicate things. But when she arrived at the coffee shop and saw him sitting at a corner table, looking as lost as she felt, she knew she had made the right decision. "Thank you for meeting me," she said as she slid into the seat across from him. "Of course," Tyler replied. "You looked like you needed someone to talk to." They ordered coffee and sat in awkward silence for a moment. Finally, Tyler spoke. "So," he said gently, "what is going on? And please do not say nothing. I have been where you are, even if I do not know the details." "Where you are?" Tiffany repeated. "Finding out someone you trusted has been lying to you," Tyler said quietly. Tiffany's coffee cup froze halfway to her lips. "What do you mean?" she asked. Tyler stared down at his hands for a long moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. Finally, he sighed. "Felicia did not break up with me because we grew apart," he said. "She broke up with me because she was cheating on me with your husband." The words hung between them like a live wire. Tiffany set her cup down very carefully. "You knew," she whispered. "I found out about 3 months before she ended our engagement," Tyler said. "I confronted her and she chose Lionel over me." 3 months. Tiffany did the math. That meant Tyler had known about the affair almost a year before she had confirmed it. "Why did you not tell me?" she asked. Tyler let out a bitter laugh. "Tell you what?" he said. "That your husband and my fiancé were having an affair? Do you have any idea how that conversation would have gone? You would have thought I was jealous or crazy or trying to start drama." He was right, and they both knew it. If he had come to her a year ago, she would have defended Lionel. She would have defended Felicia. She might never have spoken to Tyler again. "Besides," Tyler continued, "I kept hoping it would end. That Felicia would come to her senses and realize she was throwing away something good for a fantasy. But she did not." "No," Tiffany said softly. "She did not." "How did you find out?" Tyler asked. Tiffany told him about the anniversary dinner, about Lionel's words, about the confrontation that had finally brought everything into the open. She kept the financial crimes part to herself for now. That was a different war, on a different front. "I am sorry," Tyler said when she finished. "I know how much it hurts to realize the person you loved never really existed the way you thought." "Is that how you see it?" Tiffany asked. "That Felicia never really existed? The Felicia I fell in love with would not have been capable of what she did," Tyler said. "So either I was completely wrong about who she was, or she changed into someone I do not recognize." "And Lionel?" Tiffany asked. "Do you think he changed, or was I just blind?" "I think some people are good at hiding their true nature until they do not need to anymore," Tyler said. "Lionel had security with you. A home. Respectability. But he also wanted excitement, novelty, the thrill of doing something forbidden. So he tried to keep both until the juggling act got old." Tiffany nodded slowly. "He did not leave me for Felicia," she said. "He is leaving because he thinks he does not need to hide anymore. And Felicia," Tyler added. Gets to feel like she won. Like she proved she could take what I valued, Tiffany said. They sat in silence for a moment, letting that settle. The coffee shop hummed around them, laptops clicking, milk steamers hissing, soft music playing. It all felt oddly distant. What are you going to do now? Tyler asked quietly. I am getting divorced, Tiffany said. And I am making sure I get what I deserve from that marriage. That sounds reasonable, Tyler said. He hesitated, then added, What about Lionel's other problems? Tiffany looked at him sharply. What do you mean? The audit, Tyler said. Felicia mentioned something once, a few weeks before we broke up. She said Lionel was stressed about some numbers at work, but she thought he would figure it out. I did not think much of it at the time. Tiffany's heartbeat quickened. He never mentioned anything to me, she said. Of course he did not, Tyler replied. You might have asked too many questions. They talked for another hour, sharing stories about their relationships, their hopes, their disappointments. It felt strangely comforting to talk to someone who understood this very specific kind of betrayal. As they stood up to leave, Tyler hesitated. Can I ask you something? He said. Sure. Tiffany braced herself. Are you planning to just let them be happy together? He asked. Felicia and Lionel. The question caught Tiffany off guard. What do you mean? She asked slowly. I mean, Tyler said, they destroyed 2 relationships, hurt 2 people, and now they get to ride off into the sunset like nothing happened. Does that sit right with you? Of course it does not, Tiffany said. But what can I do? Sometimes you cannot control whether people face consequences, Tyler said. But sometimes you can make sure the truth comes out in ways that matter. And what truth are you thinking about exactly? Tiffany asked. Tiffany considered how much to tell him. Lionel has been stealing from his company, she said quietly. I have been tracking it for months. The audit is already happening. There will be consequences. Tyler's eyes widened. Are you serious? Very, Tiffany said. I met with a divorce attorney. Law enforcement has already spoken to me. And Felicia has no idea? Tyler asked. She thinks she won the prize, Tiffany said. She has no idea she has attached herself to a criminal who is about to lose everything. You want her to find out, Tyler said. His voice had a hard edge now. I want the truth out, Tiffany replied. All of it. The affair. The embezzlement. Everything. Tyler was quiet for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Monica, Felicia, has always been obsessed with how things look, he said. If there is a scandal, if people know she has been with a man who stole from his clients, she will not stand by him. She will run. And Lionel, Tiffany said, will learn exactly what he traded his marriage for. Over the next 2 weeks, Tiffany and Tyler met regularly, always at different coffee shops or parks, always sitting in corners where they were unlikely to be noticed together. They developed a friendship built on shared betrayal and a common goal. There was nothing romantic in it, just 2 wounded people helping each other hold steady while their former partners' worlds began to crack. Tyler proved invaluable in predicting Felicia's reactions. He knew her fears, her need for admiration, her terror of looking foolish. Meanwhile, Tiffany continued working with King. With his guidance, she mapped out a clear timeline of what she had discovered and when. Meridian's auditors dug into accounts Lionel had managed for years and began quietly flagging odd transfers. Your husband has been very clever, King said during one meeting. Small amounts skimmed from multiple accounts over time, routed through personal channels. Without your roadmap, this would have taken months to unravel. So what now? Tiffany asked. Now, King said, we let the audit conclude. Then we see who knocks on whose door first. The knock came sooner than she expected. One Thursday morning, Lionel's face flashed across the local news website as a headline. Senior financial executive arrested for embezzlement. Tiffany saw it first on a co-worker's screen. Her stomach clenched even though she had known this was coming. The article mentioned Meridian Financial, client funds, and federal charges. Lionel's mugshot stared back at her, expression stunned and furious. By lunchtime, her phone buzzed nonstop. Reporters, curious neighbors, distant acquaintances who suddenly remembered her existence. She turned the phone off and called King from her office landline. I saw, he said before she could speak. Are you okay? I am fine, Tiffany replied. She considered the question. Actually, I feel relieved. You are in a strong position, King said. The court will not want you penalized for his crimes. We will push for a favorable division of assets. Focus on your job and your safety. Let me handle the legal firestorm. That evening, someone knocked at Tiffany's back door. She checked the peephole and saw Tyler standing on the patio, hands in his pockets, shoulders tense. She let him in quickly. "I wanted to check on you," he said. "Today had to be a lot." "It was surreal," Tiffany admitted. She poured them both glasses of wine. "Part of me still cannot believe any of this is real." "Do you feel guilty?" Tyler asked quietly. She thought about it. "No," she said. "I feel like justice finally caught up." "What about Felicia?" Tyler asked. A wry half-smile tugged at his mouth. "I take it she is not handling this well." "I blocked her number weeks ago," Tiffany said. "But I am sure she is having a very interesting day." Tyler chuckled. "You could say that. One of my friends lives in her building. He texted me earlier. She called in sick, and by noon someone was moving boxes out of her apartment." "She is running," Tiffany said. "Looks like it," Tyler agreed. "She is telling anyone who will listen that she had no idea about Lionel's finances. That she is just as shocked as everyone else." "Of course she is," Tiffany said. "Felicia always needs an audience for her performances." There was a long pause. Then Tyler said, "Do you ever worry we went too far?" Tiffany looked up sharply. "You mean with the truth?" she asked. "I mean with everything," Tyler said. "The evidence. The timing. The way we made sure the pieces were in place before any of them saw it coming." Tiffany took a slow sip of wine. "Lionel stole from his clients and lied to me for years," she said. "Felicia destroyed 2 relationships because she wanted to feel powerful. We did not invent their choices. We just stopped protecting them from the consequences." At 8 that night, Tiffany's phone rang from an unknown number. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Tiffany," Lionel's voice said. It sounded smaller somehow. "Can we talk?" "Are you supposed to be calling me?" she asked. "Do you not have legal restrictions now?" "Please," Lionel said. "Just 5 minutes. I need to tell you something about Felicia." Tiffany put the phone on speaker so Tyler could hear and set it on the table between them. "What about Felicia?" Tiffany asked. "She is gone," Lionel said. His voice was hollow. "She packed up her apartment and left town. She will not take my calls. She will not see me. Nothing." "I am sorry to hear that," Tiffany said, and was surprised to find that she meant it, though not in the way he hoped. "No, you are not," Lionel said bitterly. "You warned me. You told me she would run when things got hard. You were right." "I often am," Tiffany said. "What did she say?" "She left me a letter," Lionel said. "She said she never really loved me. She said she was using me to get back at you. She said being with me was her way of proving she could take anything she wanted from you. That destroying our marriage was a game." A chill slid down Tiffany's spine. Tyler's jaw tightened as he listened. "Why are you telling me this?" Tiffany asked. "Because I need you to know that I was played too," Lionel said. "She manipulated both of us. She made me believe you were the problem, that you were holding me back." "You chose to believe her," Tiffany said. "I was an idiot," Lionel replied. "I was flattered. I was excited by the secrecy. I thought I deserved better than what I had. But it was all a lie." "What do you want from me, Lionel?" Tiffany asked. "I want you to know destroying our marriage was not entirely my idea," Lionel said. "Felicia pushed me. She convinced me that you would never make me happy, that I was wasting my life with you." "And the embezzlement?" Tiffany asked. "Did she convince you to steal from your clients too?" There was a long pause. "No," Lionel said finally. "That was me. I wanted to give her the life she expected. I wanted to impress her. I thought I could borrow the money and pay it back." "You stole it," Tiffany said. "You were not making withdrawals from an ATM. You were stealing from people who trusted you." "I was trying to build something for us," Lionel protested. "I did not mean for it to get this far." "You had 10 years to build something with me," Tiffany said. "You chose something else." "When you testify," Lionel said quietly, "will you tell them about Felicia? About the way she pushed me? Maybe if they understand how manipulated I was." "No," Tiffany said. "I am not going to help you turn Felicia into a shield. She did not log into Meridian's systems. She did not move the funds. You did. Do you hate me?" Lionel asked. Tiffany thought about it honestly. "No," she said. "Hate takes too much energy. I am done spending energy on you." "Could we have fixed us?" Lionel asked. "If I had told you the truth before the affair, before the money, could we have fixed our marriage?" "Maybe," Tiffany said. "If you had treated me like a partner instead of a problem. But that is not what happened." "No," Lionel said quietly. "That is not what happened." "Take care of yourself," Tiffany said. "Do not call me again." She hung up and looked at Tyler. He exhaled slowly, like he had been holding his breath for the entire call. "Well," Tyler said, "that was enlightening." "He sounded small," Tiffany said. "Smaller than I have ever heard him." "He took everything he had and set it on fire," Tyler replied. "Now he is standing in the ashes wondering why it is hot." Tiffany laughed once, a short, sharp sound. "Do you think Felicia really wrote all that?" she asked. "It sounds like her," Tyler said. "She likes to win twice, first by taking what she wants, then by bragging about it when it is too late for anyone to stop her." "She is out there somewhere," Tiffany said slowly, "telling people she barely escaped a relationship with a criminal. Playing the victim again." "Probably," Tyler agreed. "But now, she is playing the game without knowing someone else is watching." People talk. Stories follow. Weeks passed. The divorce moved forward. Lionel eventually pled guilty and was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison, along with an order to pay full restitution. The judge awarded Tiffany the house on the south side, most of the marital assets, and a substantial portion of Lionel's pension. Felicia did not disappear quietly. Instead, she escalated. She created fake social media profiles using Tiffany's photo, posting unhinged rants about revenge on cheating husbands and burning homewreckers' lives down. She submitted fabricated screenshots to investigators claiming Tiffany had helped Lionel move the money and then turned on him. For a few days, there was real danger that Felicia's lies might stick. But digital trails are hard to erase. Forensic experts traced the fake accounts back to Felicia's devices. The text message screenshots she provided turned out to be generated by an app, not captured from Tiffany's phone. Investigators had already seen Tiffany's meticulous documentation and timeline. Felicia's story did not match the facts. Filing false reports and forging evidence turned out to be much more serious than any humiliation she had been trying to avoid. 3 months later, Felicia stood in a courtroom of her own. She pled guilty to multiple charges related to false reporting, identity theft, and harassment. Her sentence was comparatively short, 18 months in a federal facility, followed by probation, but it was still prison. For a woman who had once treated other people's lives like a private game, the reality of orange jumpsuits and lockdowns was a consequence she had never imagined. Tyler began to step back once Felicia was sentenced. "I need to stop making her the center of my life," he told Tiffany over coffee one afternoon. "Even if it is in the name of justice." "You are allowed to let go," Tiffany said. "We both are." He nodded. "I started therapy," he admitted. "I am trying to figure out why I did not run at the first red flag." "That makes 2 of us," Tiffany said. They smiled at each other then, not as conspirators, but as survivors who were finally stepping out of the fire. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, Tiffany met Yolanda at a cafe near Millennium Park. They sat by the window, watching people drift past in coats and scarves. "Do you ever wonder if you went too far with Felicia?" Yolanda asked, stirring her tea. "I mean, she ended up in prison." Tiffany thought about it. "I think about it sometimes," she said. "Then I remember her telling me in that grocery store parking lot that destroying my marriage was a game to her. She said she did it because she could." "Did that justify everything that happened to her?" Yolanda asked. "No," Tiffany said. "What justified it were her own choices. She did not go to prison because she slept with my husband. She went to prison because she fabricated evidence and tried to frame me for crimes I did not commit. If she had accepted the damage she caused and moved on, none of that would have happened. And the other things?" Yolanda pressed. "The truth getting around. The professional reviews. The way her reputation followed her. Those were honest accounts of her behavior," Tiffany said. "She built her life on deception. All we did was stop covering for her." "Are you at peace with it?" Yolanda asked. Tiffany looked out at the city, the buses, the winter light glinting off glass buildings, people hurrying across the street. "I am at peace with the truth coming out," she said finally. "I am at peace with people facing consequences for their actions. And I am at peace with the fact that I did not let them destroy me." "What about forgiveness?" Yolanda asked softly. "Do you think you will ever forgive them?" "Maybe someday," Tiffany said. "For my own peace, not for theirs. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting what they did, or pretending it did not matter. It means I stop letting it poison my future." "And trust?" Yolanda asked. "I will never trust either of them again," Tiffany said. "But I have learned to trust myself. I trust my instincts now. When something feels wrong, I will not ignore it again." That evening, Tiffany sat in her renovated kitchen, flipping through brochures for cooking classes in New Orleans. She had always wanted to take a week-long Southern cooking course, gumbo, jambalaya, pralines, everything, from a chef who had learned recipes from their grandmother's stove. Lionel had never been interested. He had always said he was too busy, that travel like that was impractical. The new Tiffany had booked a slot for the fall session and was deciding which historic neighborhood she wanted to stay in. Her phone buzzed with a message from a colleague. Saw your ex-husband's case mentioned in a news recap today. Just wanted to say again, I am glad you got out. Hope you are doing well. Tiffany deleted the message without replying. She did not need reminders of Lionel's downfall or validation that leaving him had been the right choice. She knew. Her life itself was the answer. She closed the brochures and opened her laptop, pulling up her travel reservation. A photo of a New Orleans courtyard filled the screen. String lights, brick walls, cast-iron balconies. She could almost smell the food already. Her life was not what she had imagined when she was 25 and walking down an aisle toward Lionel. It was better. It was hers. She had learned that love without respect is just attachment, that trust without honesty is a trap, and that loyalty without reciprocity is a slow kind of self-destruction. She had learned that being alone was infinitely better than being with someone who did not value her. Most of all, she had learned that she was stronger and more resilient than she had ever imagined. The betrayal that had almost destroyed her had instead refined her, burning away her illusions and leaving something clearer, sharper, and truer behind. As she clicked confirm on her trip to New Orleans and closed her laptop, Tiffany Brooks smiled, a quiet, private, completely genuine smile. The old life was over. The new one was not just beginning, it was already underway. And this time, every step she took would be on her own terms. If you enjoyed this story, please like, comment, and share this video with your friends. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a powerful story drop.